So, Richard, we have watched Steph since the fourth quarter of that Game 5 against Houston. How should we feel about Steph thriving without KD? Because it's complicated. Kevin Durant is still a player any team in this league would want on their team.
And the Golden State Warriors want him on their team. Look, people have to understand, we talked about this. He won 2 championships, or he won 2 MVPs before he showed up there, before KD showed up. And one thing that, people might not be looking, they still have 6 guys on their team from that run where it was just Steph and Klay moving around. So you're not teaching a new system to Andre Iguodala, to Andrew Bogut. You're not teaching a new system to Livingston or Iguodala. All of these guys know that system. Draymond Green. So once you Klay Thompson, all these guys know that system. So it's very easy for them to go back into it because they've been a part of it for years.
When KD got hurt here last week,
right,
they got into a huddle as KD was getting up and walking up the tunnel, which is right behind us. And they looked at each other and they smiled. And I thought it was Steph described it, and I thought it was a fascinating description of what they were feeling, which is, yeah, we just lost our brother, but we know what to do. And I think it can be both. It doesn't have to be binary, this or that. It doesn't have to be we love KD or we hate KD.
Right.
They can exist without him. And I think the message that Steph sent, bringing out those 2005 shoes. And I'm not even a shoe head.
2015 Steph Curry.
I don't even pay attention to what guys' shoes wear.
2005, he'd be like in junior
2015. 2005 would be cool, too.
Yeah.
But the fact that he brought those out for Game 6 in Houston and then had an incredible half. By the way, I want to point out that Anthony Slater from The Athletic was asking Terry Stotts those questions.
Yes.
That defense that the Rockets played held them to 0 points in the first half.
And by the way,
oh, no, with 0 points, there was foul trouble. That was part of it.
Okay, nonetheless, there was 0 points.
There was some foul trouble.
It was a valid line of questioning from Anthony. There's no question about it. And Terry's own players made that clear later. I think it's complicated because I mentioned the Warriors fan base, and this has been a major issue for people who love this team, right? I think they loved the iteration of this team that you guys played in the finals.
I love that team, too.
They love the team that won the title the year before. And Kevin Durant coming to your team made you what has appeared since invincible, right? And has won you these titles in a way that, frankly, if he hadn't been there, Richard, you're the first person who can tell us you don't know if they would have won the next year, if you guys could have beaten them if they didn't have KD. You guys think you would have won. Steph could get beat up, right? If he's out there without KD, his defense can be picked on without KD.
And they would have a much deeper bench if KD wasn't on their team. But let's stop all the nonsense. They know that they are unbeatable with KD. They also KD doesn't like all of the chirping that goes on. They don't like all of the chirping on that, oh, well, we could beat you guys if you guys didn't have KD. They don't like that. That's where when Steph is smiling, he's like, okay, this is a challenge. Let's play this game then. Okay, Houston, what's your excuse now? Before it was Chris Paul was injured. Before it was this. Now we have KD. Well, there's no KD and Chris Paul is healthy. What's your excuse now? That's where the smile comes from. It's not that we don't need KD or we don't want KD. It's like, hey, guys, slow down. KD made us unbeatable. We were still the best team whether or not KD came here or not.
Last night there were 20,000 people in this building with shirts that said strength in numbers. It is their saying for 5 years. It got a little bit muddy in the early part of these playoffs because it looked like their numbers weren't as strong. The fact that they're going back to the system, by the way, their bench was great last night.
Yes,
their bench was great. Again, Quinn Cook, all those guys, goes back to who they are. And not just Steph Curry-led team, but the strength in numbers. That is what was the basis of this entire run.
And look, it's complicated, too, because it's fun winning titles, right, if you're the Warriors or their fans. It's not so fun being the bully, right? So
you get picked on, right? You get a little bit of heat when you're the bully.
It's fun being this effervescent sort of can-do, we're going up the mountain, right, team, and you're not that if you're the team with Kevin Durant. So it's complicated feelings. I still think the Warriors and their fan base would rather in the end have the titles, and that's what you get with Kevin Durant. And I'm not saying you can't get it with just Steph or Klay, because they got one already, but obviously it gets a lot harder.
Yeah.